many of us had expected. Syracuse falls in the dome at the hands of the Duke Blue Devils. 38-3, the final score. An absolute walloping of a performance by Duke. 38-3, one more time, the final score. We welcome your callership. 315-437-7644 is the number. We'd love to have you call in and chat, break down the game, give your thoughts, and give your opinions on the trajectory of Syracuse football for the remainder of the 2025 season. Coming into this thing, there were high hopes, and energy was buzzing, and everything felt really, really good in Orange Land after going down to Clemson last weekend and really handing it to the Tigers in Death Valley. And something shifted. This did not look like the same football team today on the field. And it really does feel like this is the first time in the Fran Brown era that we have seen this team be thrown around. I know they lost big on the road at Pittsburgh last year with the 5 interceptions from Kyle McCord, this, that, and the other, what have you. But it really does feel like this is the first time they were outmatched from the get-go, never stood a chance type of a game. Ricky Collins, first start for Syracuse as the quarterback. Fair to say an underwhelming performance. Goes 24 of 37, 229 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. Syracuse only amasses 3 points offensively. I think it's fair to say that it was obvious why one player won the starting quarterback job over the other. Steve Angeli looked really, really crisp from the fourth quarter of that UConn game all the way through till he got hurt at Clemson. And I'm not even saying that Ricky looked bad. He just didn't look to be at that same level as a passer. And I think it's important to remind yourself that Steve didn't look terrific out of the gate either. There were some growing pains. Took him a second to get comfortable, get his feet under him against Tennessee, and then most of that UConn game. So there is definitely room for growth here if you're Ricky Collins. But it just looked like they were so far off from each other in the ability to process the defense, scan the field, make the decisions. The one plus is that Ricky has the escapability factor and can extend some plays. Felt like the ball was in harm's way a lot, though. I say all that to add this. This was far from Ricky Collins being the only issue on the field today for Syracuse football. And there is no world in which you can take this heap of a 35-point loss and put it solely on the shoulders of the starting quarterback, Ricky Collins. In the pregame show, we said a key to Syracuse's success was going to be propping him up, supporting him as a cast, particularly on the offensive side of the football. From the offensive coordinator, Jeff Nixon, to the rest of the skill position players, to the offensive line, it was going to be crucial to set him up for success. I do not feel that happened today. But I also feel like the defense was probably the most glaring problem for Syracuse in this 38-3 loss at the hands of a Duke team that came in at 2-2. They were not world beaters. Give us a ring. 315-437-7644 is the number to call. Breaking down some of the numbers here when you look at the box score. Darian Mensah has a nice day for the Blue Devils. First and foremost, doesn't make a mistake. Goes 22 of 28. When you're throwing for 79%, you're going to feel pretty good. 268 yards, 2 tutties, no picks. Doesn't turn the ball over. But really what stood out was Duke's ability to run the football effortlessly. Blue Devils team ran it for 235 yards on the ground. 235 yards. 37 carries, 235 yards. That's exactly what you want. You got this high-flying, unbelievable quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the ACC, and he only has to throw it 28 times? And you run it 37 times? If you're a Duke fan, you're walking out of there feeling like, man, that run pass split We'll take that all day long. That means you dominated, and you did. 38-3. Final score. Blue Devils averaged 6.4 yards a carry. Just think about that. Ponder that for a second. Ball snap, turn around, hand it off. On average, it went for over 6 yards. You're setting yourself up with second and short every time. We have not seen that out of Syracuse all season up to this point, and that has nothing to do with Ricky Collins under center at quarterback. Duke outgained Syracuse 503-314 in this game. They outrush them 235-85. I thought it was crucial to lean on the run game with Yassine Willis. He goes 11 carries, 63 yards. I mean, he was good. Averaged 5.7 yards a carry. I'd argue you could see him tote the rock more. Why not give it to him more than 11 times? I understand, though, you're playing from behind. Nixon has 7 carries, 25 yards. Ricky Collins, 5 carries, -8 yards when you factor in the sacks. Across the board, dominant performance. I think the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway here was the fact that Syracuse looked, and I do not say this word lightly, and I feel like if you're going to make statements like this, it's crucial because who am I, right? I'm 22 years old. I've never stepped on a football field in my life. But it's crucial to back it up and support it with evidence. Syracuse looked the softest we have seen in the Fran Brown era on the football field today. They put an emphasis on tackling in open space. They put an emphasis on being a force on the lines of scrimmage, mostly after that Tennessee game. And last week, it looked awesome. They came out with this unbelievable, relentless edge. They came out and punched Clemson right in the mouth and rode that all afternoon long. They came out and bullied in that game. And it felt like the flip completely turned. The script completely turned against Duke today. They looked weak on the line of scrimmage. They missed every crucial tackle. And they got gashed up and down the field, it felt like, for a ton of this football game. 38-3 the final score. Blue Devils take it inside the dome over Syracuse. Give us a call, 315-437-7644. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll take some calls. We'll break down more of this matchup between Duke and the Orange, and we'll talk, too, as well, where to go from here. Because it's only week 5. It's a long football season. I'm not saying it's full panic mode yet, but boy, you do miss having Steve Angeli taking snaps if you're Syracuse. 315-437-7644 is the number. You're listening to Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Point Guard Advisors and Burdick Ford are proud supporters of Game Day radio coverage of Syracuse football. We are the pulse of the Orange. ESPN Radio 97.7 and 100.1.
Football season is here, and so are some great deals at Burdick Ford of Central Square. Burdick Ford is your locally owned and operated place to go, with staff focused on customer service to help you find the perfect deal. Gear up for winter with a new or used SUV or truck from Burdick Ford. You want confidence that you are making the right choice, and Burdick Ford will give you that confidence. Visit Burdick Ford today, just off exit 32 on 81 in Central Square, or at burdickford.com.
I'm William Attar. We see it every day. Good people facing tough challenges after car crashes. Insurance companies don't always deliver what's fair, but that's where we step in. Our team fights for you, working to get you the compensation you deserve. Don't let insurance companies fall short. Let us handle the fight. Hurt in a car? Call William Attar, 315-444-4444, South State Street, Syracuse. We're here when you need us most.
Attention fans of the iconic F-150. Dave Anthony here for Romano Ford in Fayetteville with two very aggressive offers. Coming out of any Ford lease, lease a new 2025 Ford F-150 STX Super Cab 4x4 truck for only $399 a month. Yes, just $399 a month. Prefer to buy? Take an unprecedented $9,000 off this F-150. That's stickers for $52,500. It's just $43,500. And get low 3.9% financing up to 60 months. You get a powerful yet fuel-efficient 2.7-liter V6 EcoBoost engine, pre-collision and lane keep assist, and Ford Pass Connect gives you remote start from your phone. So lease your F-150 Super Cab just $399 a month or buy it for only $43,500. With approved credit from Ford, $49.99 total down. That includes sales tax and security deposit. 24 months plus DMV fee, 7,500 miles per year, 25 cents per mile thereafter. Romano Ford, North Burdick Street in Fayetteville. Shop 24/7 at RomanoCars.com.
Don't overpay for your next mattress. Take advantage of Mattress Express's guaranteed lowest price program. Bring in any locally advertised price on a mattress we carry, and we will beat the price. Go to mattressexpressny.com.
Attention Syracuse, the 2026 Toyota trucks are coming to Romano Toyota. So, score clearance pricing on our last 2025 Toyota Tacomas, like the 2025 Toyota Tacoma Double Cab SR5 4x4. Lease yours for only $311 a month. Yes, just $311 a month, with only $39.99 down. That includes taxes, you just pay fees. Prefer to buy? This Tacoma stickers for $43,600. Take $2,000 off, it's just $41,600. And get 3.99% financing up to 60 months. This $2,000 discount applies to all new in-stock 2025 Tacomas from TRD Sports to Limiteds. And lease or buy, you get Toyota Care, no-cost maintenance and roadside assistance for 2 years. So lease your Tacoma just $311 a month or buy it at $41,600. Must finance with TFS Tier 1 Plus. Excludes hybrid models. 36 months, 10,000 miles per year. 15 cents excess mileage fee. Romano Toyota, Bridge Street. Shop 24/7 at RomanoCars.com.
When minutes count, more patients count on Krause Emergency Services for the shortest wait times of any ER around. In an emergency, call 911 and say, "Take me to Krause."
No one has more used and sells more used than Drivers Village. Over 600 pre-owned vehicles, priced right, including 100 priced below $20,000. Look at these examples. Each ride has a minimum 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty. Financing help for everyone. Bring your trade-in or just sell it to us without buying a thing. DV is the area's used car headquarters. Find yours at the warehouse and everywhere at Drivers Village. See more at driversvillage.com.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, and Burdick BMW postgame show with Giovanni Heater.
38-3, the final score inside the Dome. Duke absolutely takes it to Syracuse. A final result that I really don't think any of us had expected. Today's show presented by Point Guard Advisors and Charles Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electrical. Give us a call, 315-437-7644, the Massage Envy hotline located in Fayetteville and Clay. And with that, we're going to go to the phone lines. We got Dave in Syracuse. Dave, how we doing, man?
Not very good.
I'm with you.
Yeah, 3 plays I want to bring up early on before I get to the defense, if I could. When it was actually still a game. Number one, we're moving up. We get the ball to start. We're moving it up the field. No idea what Ricky Collins was looking at when he threw that interception. He went right through a pop fly right into double coverage.
Yeah.
Boom, that's number one. Number two, after Dean Willis's incredible run, highlight run. It'll be on the ESPN Top 10 tonight. We get down to the goal line, 2nd and goal from the 1. Collins gets out of trouble and doesn't throw it out of bounds when he has a chance to just get another play off.
Yes.
Takes the sack, takes us away from the touchdown where we could have taken the lead. And third, I'm hoping you can help me with the inexplicable call on the targeting or the non-targeting call, which looked like a totally defenseless player on his way down and a guy coming full speed hitting him in the head. Granted, not with his own helmet, but hitting him high when it looked like he was already down anyway with the ball. How could they possibly have called what they did?
Dave, stay with me. Stay on the line because I know you said you wanted to talk about the defense as well afterwards. But, yeah, let me comment on what you brought to the table there. First of all, on the interception, I'm with you. It just looked like a rookie play from a quarterback making his first start in college football. I mean, and it's hard to, like, give it that kind of an excuse because, like, look, it's a big game and you can't make that kind of a play. And it just felt like it took so much wind out of the sails because you had a couple of positive plays before that. And, yeah, I mean, Steve Adazio, former head coach of Boston College, did a nice job breaking it down. He was the analyst on TV. And he said, you know, Ricky the whole way is looking that way at the intended receiver. He doesn't do any effort to look off the safety. So the safety's reading it the entire time. Essentially, Ricky's throwing that up for grabs into double coverage. And it was a poor play. It was a terrible decision. So I'm with you there. The second play you're talking about was Ricky not throwing it out of bounds. I thought the same thing. You know, you're 3-4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I get he's trying to make a play, but there was opportunities to discard the ball and salvage some yardage. And I'm with you. Like, again, making your first start type of decision-making there if you're Ricky. So I couldn't agree with you more. That was a marquee moment. And then I'm with you again on the decision by the officiating crew. Like, I get if you go, okay, we're going to give Syracuse half of this and the other part of it we're going to, you know, kind of give to Duke type of thing. Like, you want to give them the fumble and not the targeting, or we're going to imply the targeting or whatever it is. I thought for sure Jonte Cook's knee was down. I really didn't think that was in question because it seemed pretty clear to me that when he gets blasted, it was with a knee down and the ball did not get dislodged and come loose until he was hit. So I thought there's no way this is staying as a fumble. And then on top of it, with the targeting, he did not hit him with the crown of the helmet, and that's fine, but there's another layer to that rule. He's a defenseless receiver, and it's forcible contact to the head or neck area. I mean, it was clear and blatant. He's going down, and this guy comes and lowers his head and blasts him with his shoulder pad into the head of Jonte Cook. Super unnecessary, and thought it should have been targeting. So I thought it should have been targeting and a fumble, and that's not why Syracuse lost this game. You could say that's why Syracuse lost this game if, you know, they lost by a touchdown or 10 points or whatever. Unfortunately, though, that felt like a hinge moment in the game where things just unraveled and you were digging a hole that felt insurmountable in a way. So, you know, Dave, I'm with you. What did you want to say about the defense? Because unfortunately, though, as I was saying in the first segment, I think that's where you can put most of the blame. And it's not even really all that on Ricky in this thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Here's my problem going forward with the defense. I don't know that Fran Brown can look at his staff as a head coach. This is his brother. That's his defensive coordinator. They grew up together. I could never, ever see him replacing him. And I'm not saying it's that point yet, but I have never seen a more ill-prepared defense for an offense they were coming into play. It looked like they hadn't looked at any film of Duke coming into this game. We were confused. Guys were in the wrong place. We saw what happened in the running game, and that is just inexcusable. And one of the more disgusting performances, it was Greg Robinson-esque, this defensive performance today. And I just, going forward, I just don't know that Fran Brown can look at his defensive coordinator and staff as the way a head coach has to, because they're so close and so tight. And I'm a little underwhelmed by Coach Robinson right now. I think I don't think he's done a very good job. I hope it changes. But, man, today, again, I've never seen a more unprepared defense coming into a game than I saw today.
Dave, appreciate the call, my man. It sounds like you're driving, so get home safe wherever you're heading to. And yeah, I mean, Dave, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head because you did mention you don't think it's full-blown panic mode, that they're at that point yet. But to your point, Elijah Robinson's relationship with Fran Brown goes back to when they were kids in Camden. And Fran's a really loyal guy. I think he's demonstrated that in a lot of different ways. And I would be really hard-pressed to see him straying from Elijah Robinson. I think you have an incredibly valid point with that. And that is the very tricky game you play in this coaching business, because it is a business, a results-oriented and a results-based business at the end of the day. And right now, the defensive performance is not getting it done. They did look unprepared. And more than looking unprepared, I think that they looked softer than they have really all season long. I just don't understand the dichotomy. If you came out with this relentless edge against Clemson, and the defense was awesome, they were swarming, they were getting tackles for loss, they were hitting their open field tackles, they were flying all over the field, making plays. The elders making plays, Devin Grant having a great game, but then the young bucks too, like Demetrius Samuel being locked down and Antoine Delorier making plays, and it just looked polar opposite today. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened today to the defensive side of the football. I think you have to give some credit to Duke. Like, they came into this as one of the most prolific offenses in the entire, definitely ACC, maybe the country. I mean, Darian Mensah was right behind Steve Angeli for one of the nation's leading passers. I had not seen Duke run the ball as effectively as they did today, and that's where it becomes inexcusable. Mensah was good. Mensah didn't have to do much. This felt like a recent Buffalo Bills game where Josh Allen just kind of sits back and lets the rest of the team cook and just dinks it around where he can find spots, goes 22 of 28, 268 yards, 2 tuds, kept the ball out of trouble, no picks, which he has had a turnover bug, so that's really impressive for him to not turn the ball over. It was the running game. You just cannot, you're never going to win a football game if you get run all over for 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, and you allow 6.4 yards a carry. Against a freshman. That Shepard kid, number 20 in white, 15 carries, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaged 11.2 yards a carry. He's a freshman. If you're Elijah Robinson, if you're the Syracuse defense, that's a big reason, if not the reason, that you lost this football game. And I think it has a lot less to do. Like, Syracuse's offense has its own issues. We'll talk about it. But the defense was certainly the glaring problem. So, Dave, I'm with you. To put a bow on that, again, it's a relationships business. I don't see a world where Fran's getting rid of his guys. Sometimes that's the downfall of coaches. I don't have a crystal ball to see what this turns into. Like, this could be a blip on the radar, folks. This could be a blip on the radar. Or it could be the beginning of a problem. Or Syracuse just doesn't have a quarterback type of thing. So, yeah, it's tough. We're going to keep it rolling because we should have Fran Brown very soon. So give us a ring. We were going to go to break. We're going to keep it rolling because we should have Fran Brown really soon, and I don't want to have to go to break and then miss part of Fran. I think everybody's kind of on the edge of their seats to hear from Fran. But give us a ring. Call in, talk. 315-437-7644. The calls are welcome. Like, if people want to come on here and air their grievances. Dan was talking about this felt like the Greg Robinson era. I did not think we'd hear that ever with Fran Brown as the head coach of the Syracuse Orange. But Dan sounds like he's been a lifelong fan for a long time, knows what he's talking about. Dan said it felt like the Greg Robinson era. I can't even tip my cap to that because I was little during the Greg Robinson era and don't remember much of it. It did feel, however, similar to the Dino Babers era at times. And it's weird because the caliber of athlete is different. Syracuse didn't look like the smaller team. In fact, there were times Syracuse looked like the bigger team, especially the receiver room. But yet, they still got pushed all over, run all over, and looked like the lesser team. No question about that. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating if you really think about it. Another problem in this game that I think really plagued Syracuse that's not really getting talked about right now is the special teams. I said in the pregame show with Mike, I didn't actually think I was going to have to talk about it afterwards. I was just kind of like, I need one more key to the game. What am I going to say? I said, Cuse needs to have seamless special teams. And that just means you don't need to go like have a home run punt return. You don't need, no. That just means let's not talk about it when the game's over. The game didn't come down to special teams. Nothing cost you on the special, just seamless special teams. And unfortunately, we're having a conversation here where I think the special teams seriously cost Syracuse. They were in field position. When you look at field position, Syracuse's average start spot was its own 20. They were playing with bad field position all the way throughout. There's more on that, but first, we're going to Fran Brown, his press conference right now.
Coach, no one take questions. Please raise your hand. We'll come around Mike's name.
Two things. First, I wanted to congratulate Duke, Coach Diaz and his staff. They did an amazing job today. They beat us in all aspects of the football game. Out-coached me. He just did an amazing job. Second, I want to apologize to Syracuse, the fan base, just everyone who follows this football program. That performance that you've seen out there today was not good, and I have to make sure that I coach our players a lot better, be able to prepare them better, and have them ready to come out and be able to compete.
Questions? Mark?
Hi, Coach. What did you see on that Jonte Cook fumble play, and do you think that shifted momentum in the game?
I'm not sure. I mean, that was one of many plays that didn't go our way. So we still have to be able to learn. You can't take one play and take that as something that will shift the game or do things. So just think it was a good play. They reviewed it. They went through it. It was upheld. So just got to go with what they reviewed and upheld.
Put your bond right here in the front. Right here, that's 3 seconds.
Fran, speaking of that play, was it coming into this game, did you know that you could, on a target review, overturn something into a fumble? Like, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Had you seen something like that before?
Yeah, it's possible. That can happen. I've seen different things happen with ball. Once you go into the review, different things always come up and happen. So that's normal. That happens in football a lot.
What was the explanation that you got from the officials on that play?
They fumbled. I'm not. What you mean by that?
Like on why they didn't call targeting and then.
Oh well, he had the football. He became a runner, so he wasn't defensive anymore. So once that happened that way, they made the right call.
Hi, Coach. In what areas of growth, and what can this team learn from in this loss today?
Just adversity. And I'm a faith-driven dude, right? So things happen for reasons, right? There's a lot of blessings in disguise possibly in this. I couldn't really tell you that right now, but there's a lot of adversity. You'll see people stick together. For me, when your back's against the wall, that's when some people usually are at their best. So you get an opportunity to see. It's good for our players because I would like for a lot of them to look at their phones right now and see the text log. And I want them to see the text log from last week. And then I want them to remember that and work. Just understand no matter what, you still got to work tomorrow. Don't allow those things to mess you up. You got to live in the moment at all times.
Put Dan over here on the left, and then go to Zach in front.
Coach, over here. Just looking at Ricky Collins, this obviously being his first start ever collegiately. I know you didn't get into the end zone, but what were some of those takeaways and maybe some things you can build off of knowing that this was a moment for him to step out and be the leader?
I think he's going to do a good job coming down the line. I think he'll continue to get better. I mean, it can't get worse, right? But he was doing his job. He was able to move the ball. There's a lot of different flags and things that happen at certain weird times that will never give him a chance to get the drive started and sparked. But I'm comfortable with him. I'm comfortable with what he's done. I think we can gain off of the performance he had today. There's some things that he did well. There's some things that we'll fix, but I'm comfortable and thankful that he's our quarterback.
Who is Zach right here?
Coach, again, along the lines of Ricky, obviously, we saw the past couple weeks he came in, and it was able to nurse a big lead when you guys were up big. Obviously, you go down double digits today. It's a little bit of a different situation. Just what did you see from him in terms of when you guys go down double digits and try to fight back?
I don't think that's all on Ricky. when you go down double digits and trying to fight back, I think you got to hold them to those digits and then give him a chance to go get points and score and go back and score. We didn't play complimentary football at all. I guess we did. We uncomplimented each other the entire game. So therefore, he was able to, he couldn't really get into a groove as he wanted to get into a groove.
Right here.
Fran, just going off what you said about the text there, did you have a sense they got a little too high after that game, or is that like a weekly message you send to not get too high or too low?
No, I just try to focus and be in the moment and worry about that one that's coming up next. Like right now, I can't wait till the night after I go watch this tape and go through things tomorrow because SMU is really good. You don't want to beat a team and then lose to the team that you just beat because you're still worrying about that. You don't want to lose to a team and then lose to that team again the next week because you're still worrying about that. So I think you need to be able to live in the moment. And with us having a young football team, we're trying to be able to show them that and teach them that so we can keep going.
Lewis, you over on Coach's left and Thomas on the island.
Coach over here. You talked about the offense and not playing complementary football, and I think we all can look at the fact that there was a new starting quarterback and explain some of what happened on offense. What do you think happened on the other side of the ball, and what was Duke doing offensively that seemed to give you guys such big problems?
I think it seemed like they knew what the hell we was running, right? Sorry to curse, I didn't mean to say that, but it seemed like they knew what we were doing, and not saying they were looking at our calls or anything of that nature. It's just they always had the right play. I think they just did a really good job, right? We got out-coached from that side to this side. There's some things that I should have switched up and said that I didn't do. So I think their offensive coordinator did a really good job today, and he was dialing it up the right way. He called it the right way, and everything went well for him.
Good. Tom's right here now. Tom's ready. Thank you.
Hey, Coach. So I wanted to ask you, do you have any potential concerns about like the lateral quickness on the defensive side of the ball? Because it seemed like Duke was kind of throwing outside when you guys are in man coverage and trying to force you guys into one-on-one opportunities. Do you have any concerns there?
Not really. We just got to set edges. We got to set firm edges, being able to set firm edges, and then that forces them to try to get vertical and come make tackle.
And then I did have another question regarding special teams. There seemed like there was some, I don't know if it was miscommunications, but interesting fair catch calls and balls being taken out of the end zone. Was that something coached, or was that just on in the moment kind of thing?
Yeah, that's on me. I messed that up for him. I got to put him in the right position to make sure that he's ready for all positions and all things of that nature.
How's he passing Mike right over here to WAR for you?
Coach, Yasin had a really good run where he leaped over a player, got the crowd going. But after that, didn't see too much from him. Is that something you're looking back on? Maybe you wish you established more of a run game early on?
Yeah, we got to give Yasin the ball. He needs the football. He has to get the ball more.
Put a Citrus TV on the back TV platform there.
Coach, once the game was just about decided, was there any discussions to see what Jakari or Luke could do out there, and what went through the decision to just keep Ricky until the very end of the game?
Ricky's our quarterback. We started the game with him. We wanted to end the game with him.
Good, Javon up front.
Fran, in terms of run defense, what is the way you go about fixing that this week? 200 yards again for the second time this season. How do you go about fixing the run fits and, like you said earlier, sealing the edge to make sure those big explosive plays on the end?
Guys got to make sure when you're supposed to spill, you should spill, meaning hit with the opposite arm. And then when you're supposed to box, you should box. So there was a few times where we boxed to nobody when we should have spilled, and then vice versa. So you got to be a little bit more detailed in those areas. I got to fix those areas up. Those were some of the things that I probably messed up as I went over there this week.
During camp, Coach Wright at all, we heard him say a lot, lose with leverage to the linebackers.
Repeat that?
He say miss your tackles with leverage.
Yeah.
How much did that show up today? And again,
we gotta put our pads on people, right? I mean, we were diving at the ground and stuff like that, right? That's not how you tackle. We gotta run through contact. We just got punked, right? We didn't play tough football, so. It shouldn't look like that. It's not good. It's not how it's supposed to look. We have to make sure that we use our shoulder pads and helmet.
Fran, just looking back on last year, coming back from that Pitt game and the way that you guys were able to respond and put up, such a good month of November, what lessons did you learn from how your team responded to that you're looking to maybe replicate after suffering a loss like you did today?
I got to watch the film. Like, last year was last year. This year is this year. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we can have an opportunity to go out and win the next time we hit the football field. But for me to be that detailed about telling you that right now, I will be making something up, and I don't want to do that.
Well, maybe not on the field, but in terms of how to keep the team, mentally intact, what did you learn last year that you might, want to do again this year?
They'll follow me. I'm never going to quit. So my energy will always be up. That's why I'm the head football coach, so they'll follow me. I got to make sure I continue to set the tone.
We'll go right to Christian in the second row there, starting with last two questions with him.
Fran, we got to see Emmanuel Ross today make a few catches towards the end of the game. What did you see from him, and how pleased are you to get him back onto the field?
He's a good player. Just want him to stay healthy. When he's healthy, he could play ball. He's physical. He could block. He could do a lot. So praying that he could stay healthy and continue to play, because he could definitely help our offense in that loaded receiver room.
And then last question over here on the side of Dan.
Fran, I know you said you owe an apology to Syracuse, to the city. Just how you move forward here. They had a huge high last week, had a little bit of a different week this week. Just what you can say about the city and leaning on the city as you head to the road.
I'm going to just work. I'm going to make sure that I continue to work. I'm got to do the things that are needed to help us. I think football plays a major part in the city, right? So it's important that we go out and we play the right way. Whether you win, whether you lose, those things, they come and go, right? That's every game. It's 50-50. But you got to play the right way, and I want to make sure that they see what they want, what they're supposed to see. When you come to the game and you come to support like that, and you have that many fans here, there's a certain way that we're supposed to look while we're on the football field. And I don't think today was a good example. Or like last time, a little while ago, y'all said, do you get upset when people aren't all in the stands? Like, that's our job to keep them there, right? So the fact that they left, I would have probably left too if it didn't work out that way. So I just want to do what's right by them because they deserve it.
That's Fran Brown, head coach of the Syracuse football team. The Orange fall 38-3, the final score inside the Dome. For those just joining us, a lot to unpack there. A lot that Coach Brown said, took accountability. That's what you expect a head man to do, right? Obviously, he's going to go in there and say, this one's on me. There's a lot of different directions we could take the conversation. We're pressed for a break, so we'll take the break. When we come back, a lot of different directions we can take this thing. Still a lot to unpack between Syracuse and Duke in the Dome. Give us a ring. Give us your thoughts. If you want to rant, the floor is yours as callers. 315-437-7644. That's 4ESPN 44. Give us a call. You're listening to Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
This is Orange Nation.
Fran, always great to chat with you. So does it matter, Coach, when there's a sold-out crowd?
I love seeing people there so everyone can see our players play, to see how well they're doing, that they're getting better. But it's college football. A packed house is fun for both sides, right? It just lets you know that people want to see you play. Having a packed house means a lot. It means the world, especially here in Syracuse. It means a lot to have everybody at the home games.
Orange Nation, noon to 2.
Interception, and then just the game in general, about where do you want to go next week in terms of performance?
Obviously, any quarterback, you had to limit turnovers and mistakes like that, and really just not to shoot ourselves in the foot when we get going. Don't kill our momentum. So that's my take on that.
I know after Colgate you said that pick allowed you to get your jitters out. Did you feel like you had a moment like that today where you were able to get the first game nervousness out, or was it just something different today?
I guess I wouldn't say that. That's just a mistake that I had to learn from and get better from and build off that.
Mark,
What did you see on that play that they first called targeting and then ruled a fumble? And do you think that changed momentum, shifted momentum in the game after that?
I mean, like, ultimately it's up to the refs to make that call. You know, the defender made a good play, and, you know, anytime the ball changes to the other team, momentum definitely shifts. So that's what I got to say about that.
Dan right here on the left-hand side of the player.
Dude, just looking back at Darian Mensah, what he did in this game, almost 80% completion percentage. What did you see from him, and just what you can say from the defensive viewpoint of this?
We just got outplayed. We didn't do our job. We didn't make the plays when it came our way. We just got to take advantage of the game plan coach put out there for us, and we just got to execute. They executed way better than us, and the scoreboard shows.
And then, Ricky, for you, I mean, this is the first time we've ever seen you as a starter collegiately. I know it's not the way you want it to end, but do you have some positives when you look back at some of the plays made by your teammates and some of those good moments out there, be it a ball from you or the way that Yasin was able to run today?
Yeah, I mean, we had sparks here and there, but like I said, we shot ourselves in the foot a whole lot, killed our own momentum. Something to build off, definitely. We just got to get back to the drawing board and figure it out for the rest of the season.
Right here on the aisle.
For Devin and Deuce, Coach Fran was saying that like Duke knew what you guys were running the whole time, even before you did. In some ways, like, what did you? How did the frustration grow out there as Duke just kept making plays and you guys were trying to match what they were doing?
It was just being outplayed, like Deuce said, you know, going out there and not executing, you know what I mean? Like, we knew what we had to do, and it was just execution. It was just
Syracuse, Dave Anthony here for Romano Ford with a can't-miss offer on a 2025 Ford Explorer Active SUV.
Syracuse sports talk shows on CuseSportsTalk.com. This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, and Burdick BMW postgame show with Giovanni Heater.
38-3, the final score inside the Dome. Duke takes it to the Orange, and Syracuse drops the 3-2 on the year, 1-1 in ACC play, and they do it in pretty disappointing fashion across the board. Offense, defense, special teams, everywhere. Ricky Collins didn't look the part as far as what you'd expect your former four-star LSU transfer quarterback to look like. I'm not saying it's an easy spot to be in, but when you think about the fact that Syracuse put up 3 points in its own building against the statistically absolute worst scoring defense in the Atlantic Coast Conference coming into this game, that just can't happen. Duke came into this game with the worst scoring defense in the ACC, and Syracuse put up 3 points in the Dome on that Duke defense. Some of Duke's other numbers coming into this game, because, again, to map out how solid their offense was, sure, but how much they had struggled on defense coming into this game, it really is jarring. Some of Duke's numbers. Dead last in scoring defense. Second to last in total defense. Nationally, you got to go to the third page of the NCAA stat database to get to a lot of where Duke's defensive numbers were, except getting after the quarterback, which they have done well, and they didn't do well today. They only amassed 1 sack on Syracuse. So that's the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we talked about it. Cuse got gashed on the ground. Run all over for over 200 yards. 38-3 the final score. I want to go one more time back to the special teams, though. What was going on? I mean, it started right out of the get-go with sloppiness because you had a situation where he drops the muffs in a way, I guess, the kickoff, scoops it up, and decides to take it out instead of just taking the touchback because he was in the end zone, takes it out, and then they start at like their own 10-yard line. I mean, you're setting Ricky up for failure out of the get-go, starting at your own 10. Flash forward. Happens again later where you decide to take it out of the end zone and try and return it instead of just taking the touchback, and you're setting up the drive at the 10-yard line. And then later on in the game, multiple times it just felt like Syracuse and the special teams, particularly in the return game, making fair catches like inside the 10, inside the 5-yard line instead of letting it bounce in situations where it's pretty fairly clearly going to go out of the back of the end zone for a touchback, barring a remarkable play by Duke's coverage team. So I thought special teams cost them as well. We're going back to the phone lines. You can give us a ring. 315-437-7644 is the number to call. But we got Jake in Iowa. Jake, how we doing? Jake.
Hey, Gio. Thanks for taking my call. I got a feeling this team, these players, were smelling their own poop after last week. This was the definition of being taken to the woodshed. And maybe there's questions about Collins. There's questions about the defense. But the real question is, how bad is Clemson? Now,
yeah.
Leading up to this week, all the talk was around all these other teams wanting to hire Fran Brown. It looked to me like Duke's coach might be the guy they want to hire instead. That was a beating. Thanks for taking my call.
Jake, man, we really appreciate you calling in from all the way out in Iowa. So shout out to Jake. You know, that was a fear of mine, too, just watching how the game played out. Maybe Cuse I thought they were better coached than that. I thought this was not a team under this coaching staff, particularly under Fran Brown, let's be real, that would, the way you put it, and the way I'll put it is the fact that they were too high on what happened last week. Too much confidence, right? Feeling too good about themselves. Maybe you dial back your preparation. You're not as accountable. Going back to Dart, right? You're not as detailed in your work and your prep for the week. And they got in their own way. It did feel like that at times in this game, and honestly, the entire game. So it's a really good point, Jake. Maybe they got a little too high on themselves after what really was a big win. It felt like last week at Clemson. To your point, maybe Clemson is that bad. Maybe Clemson has some real problems. They're not playing this week. They got a bye week. We're going to see what Clemson transpires to be throughout the rest of the year. But, no, Jake, it's an excellent point. I think that definitely could be part of this recipe. And then echoing your second point there, with Fran Brown being this hot coaching commodity, that was a dialogue all week. And I have a sound clip. I don't have it now because I didn't think I was going to have to play it. At some point on one of these shows, I'll play it. It's from Fran Brown's introductory press conference where he gets up there and says, look, I come from welfare. I'm good. I'm not a guy, and I know coaches say this, and he even says, he's like, I know coaches get up here and say, like, oh, I'm here, I love it here, this is my dream job, and then, boom, they're looking for another job and more money 3 years later. He's like, that's not me. He's like, I'm good. I don't have to play that card. And he just said that he was here for life, right? He said till his daughter got to be about 10 years down the road, and it was time to spend time with her, he was going to be here for life. He wanted to make this his destination spot. And the reason I've always believed him, everyone says, I'm arguing in text messages with people, and they're like, Fran's gone, blah, blah, blah. These are non-Syracuse people, by the way. And I'm like, I just think he's different. I just think he's different as far as when he says something like that, it feels like there's a different layer of authenticity to it. So I trust Fran on that. With that being said, yeah, nobody's knocking down Fran's door to come hire him away after that. Losing at home by 35 to a 2-2 Duke team who came in with the worst scoring defense in the ACC, and you muster 3 points. And I know you had a backup quarterback, but let's not pretend Ricky wasn't this huge get out of the portal. He was one of the most sought-after portal quarterbacks, and Cuse just had kind of Steve fall into their lap in a way after the spring. Not saying they didn't have to go get him and pay him and recruit him and whatnot, but let's not pretend Ricky wasn't a hot commodity. So, yeah, I think that the Fran to Florida, the Fran being the hot coaching commodity, is going to be cooled down a little bit. You could toss a little bit of water on that fire. I still think everything he brings to the table, you cannot make that decision based on one game. Everything that he brings to the table, any university is beyond lucky to have him. But I don't think that people are going to be smashing down the door after a game like this. And if the product on the field remains to look like this for the rest of the season, you could probably say after this season. So, Jake, it's a great call. Appreciate you calling in all the way from Iowa. Take the conversation in a direction of what this game meant coming into it. You wanted to win it, no question. We talked about in the pregame how this could have propped you up to be one of the upper echelon teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference, right? That was the opportunity on the table. Instead, it probably asserts Duke as that, and Syracuse is taking steps in the wrong direction. But I think the bigger glaring problem here was the fact that this was arguably the biggest recruiting weekend of the year for Syracuse football. Because the home schedule was not kind to a recruiting staff. There's no big marquee game. There's no Miami in town. There's no Clemson in town. There's no Florida State in town. There's no Notre Dame. There's no big game you can circle. Tennessee was on a neutral site. You can't be like, this is the big, we're going to throw every egg in the recruiting basket at this weekend, host everybody, have a big party in Syracuse, and let's get these kids to commit. See what the Dome is all about. This was that weekend, it felt like. And I think Pitt, maybe they had circled as well. Carolina, sure, it's a Friday night. The problem with recruiting on a Friday night is those kids are playing. Like, you don't understand the layers. I've talked to some people in like recruiting offices in my time covering college football while I was in college, and a lot of students work for recruiting staff. Like, the different layers that go into getting these kids places after they played on Friday night, getting them on a flight and getting them somewhere for a game at noon the next day, it's preposterous. Syracuse is very fortunate that they have an airport right here that has a lot of access, because you go to a place like where I just spent the last 4 years in Blacksburg, Virginia, nearest major airports, 45 minutes away. There's no easy way to get there. How about a place like Ames, Iowa? Or I'm just naming random college football towns. Syracuse has it pretty good as far as its accessibility in getting kids here. And there were a lot of big recruits in the Dome today. Basketball and football. Not just football either. Basketball and football. And the biggest one was Calvin Russell. 5-star wide receiver out of Miami that you were able to get to commit to Syracuse. It was such a big deal when it happened over the summer. Picked Cuse over the likes of Michigan and the opportunity to stay home and play for Mario Cristobal at Miami, amongst others. Florida State was in the mix. Handful of schools in the mix. And he chose Fran Brown of the Cuse. And the biggest reason was the relationship with Fran. And that's not going to fracture. And if anybody can, I don't even want to say talk their way out of it, because Fran is so authentic and so real, and there's nothing fake to him. Like, I just listened to an unbelievable podcast he did with Darian Rencher. It was about an hour and a half show. Highly encourage you to listen to it. But he got on there and talked about how he's real. Like, he's not going to lie to these kids. He tells them the truth. And that's how you build connections with people. So, but if anybody can talk their way out of this without bending any truth, it's a guy like Fran, just with his personability. But yeah, not a good look. I mean, he had 5-star recruits in football and basketball in the house, and you lost by 35 and scored 3 points in front of a sold-out crowd that emptied out shortly after halftime. Not good. Not ideal if you're the Cuse, unfortunately. We're going to take a break. We got one more segment. When we return, we're going to talk about where this team goes from here, because it does feel like, in a way, this is a rock-bottom point in the season, you hope. and maybe things can trend in the right direction after this. Give us a call if you want. One final opportunity to do so will be in the next segment. 315-437-7644 is the number. Syracuse falls to Duke 38-3 in the Dome. You're listening to Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Did you miss Drive Time with Tim Le-
A ton of national credit or really
W261AC Oswego, WTKW HD2 Bridgeport, ESPN Radio. ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, and Burdick BMW postgame show with Gio Heater.
One final segment here in studio. Syracuse falls to the Duke Blue Devils in the Dome, 38-3. The final score. Give us a ring. Last chance to do so this afternoon. Air your grievances. Give us a rant. Whatever you feel like you want to do. It's 315-437-7644, the number to call. And we go to the phone lines right now. We got Andrew in Syracuse. Andrew, how you doing, man? Thoughts on the unfortunate circumstances this afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating to see for sure, but, I mean, there are good things came out of it. Ricky does look somewhat decent. I mean, coming out of LSU, I mean, there's definitely reasons why he wasn't the starter for sure, but it's not all on Fran Brown at all. I mean, the defensive line and the offensive line definitely got thrown around in the trenches. That targeting call probably took the momentum away from Syracuse, which is I'm really surprised that this time in day and age that they're not going to call that targeting. I mean, his knee was down and, you know, he's got 2-3 defenders already on him and the guy comes trucking in and slides with his head. So, I mean, I don't know how that's not targeting, but I mean, there are good things that came out of it, but there's definitely a drop ball by Fran Brown and his team, but it's not all on Brown. And, you know, it's not a last-ditch resort to fire him. I mean, he's got Angeli still, you know. Once he's healthy next year, the team could be good, and they do look good when he was there. But, I mean, he was the number one recruiter for Georgia, and he is still the number one recruiter. And he makes a connection with these guys, and that's the thing. I don't think it's a good idea to fire him or call for him to be fired right now. I mean, it's his second season. I mean, Babers was there for 6-7 years, and you know he was god awful. Even though he looked decent, he was still god awful. But I think Brown has a good future here, and I think that this game was definitely a black mark on his record for sure. But we'll see going on.
Yeah, no, appreciate the call, Andrew. Yeah, I'm with you, Andrew. You know, everybody is kind of panicking right now on social media and in our chat and everywhere, pretty much, about Fran Brown losing this game, and it's like time to hit alarm bells. Like, it's one game. And on top of it, you were playing without your starting quarterback who just became out for the season with an injury in the last game. Like, everyone's got a deep breath. Let's not pretend we weren't just saying, as a fan base, if you're a Syracuse fan, how much you loved Fran Brown yesterday and before kickoff today, and how you were saying that the athletic department needs to do everything in its power to extend him. And you have to keep Fran Brown here. And, like, please don't hop off that bandwagon. It's one game. And I don't think any coaching decisions by Fran Brown were the issue here. I think the team could have been more prepared to play. I agree. The team could have been way more prepared to play. It felt like they had a hangover from the high that they were at when they took down Clemson. Unbelievable accomplishment to win in Death Valley, and it felt like they were not ready this week, coming off the heels of that. I'm with you there. But Fran Brown, heading into today, was 8-2 in one-score games. Still is 8-2 in one-score games. He's incredibly accomplished thus far in his career. He's taken down big teams in big games and rose to the occasion in big moments. He was playing with a backup quarterback today, and let's be real, his defensive staff did not do him favors. I'm not saying it's not Fran's fault, and he took full responsibility and accountability, and I get that. But everyone's got to chill with the alarm bells on Fran Brown. Let's go to the phone lines once again. We got Vito and Clay. Vito, how you doing?
Hey, man. Yeah, so I was at the game, and I was excited for this one. I just tuned in. I just got home, and I haven't heard any calls, so forgive me if I repeat any points. But the first thing I heard was the last caller, and he's talking about Fran Brown and getting fired, and I'm like, Only in Syracuse do you hear garbage like that. I don't know where that came from. Can you tell me, was that something, has that been a big point in the talk show, this post-game show, or what?
No, it has not. In fact, I have said, hammered home the point in the show that everyone's still got to rally behind Fran Brown. Like, in a way, like, in a weird way, Vito, I almost feel like it's not a good thing, but, like, now you can sit back as a Syracuse fan and be like, all right, he's probably not going anywhere right now because nobody's breaking down the door like they were last week after the big Clemson win to come poach him away from Syracuse, right? And I think Fran's the truth. I think Fran's exactly what this program needs. He's going to take this program back to heights that it hasn't been to since Paul Pasqualoni was the man in charge in Central New York. Like, Fran is the guy. They have the right guy, all the credit in the world to John Wildhack and everybody that was a part of taking that risk and making him the head coach. So Fran ain't going anywhere, is my thoughts. What else you got, Vito?
So I got a few in-game points I want to make, but you know, after what you just said, how can you say anything about Fran Brown and how he's been as a coach? You stole one of my points in the last call as well. This is on the defensive coordinator. I mean, all the missed tackles, the holes for Castle, the blitzing was ill-timed. They had a response for every blitz that Syracuse threw at them, and there was no adjustments made to stop that. It was just a horrible game overall. But the other point was Angeli for next year. If I looked and it said that 30% of the player can't participate in more than 30% of the games to get a medical waiver for next year. So I don't know if they break it down by quarters, but I think they need a bowl game for him to be under 30%, or can they make an exception to that? Do you know anything about that?
From what I understand, Vito, and I totally agree with you on the defense. In fact, I almost encourage you to check it out on YouTube and like rewind it, because we spent a ton of time unpacking that. Like, they were ran all over for over 200 yards, just things that can't happen, right? And that was the bigger problem for me than even Ricky Collins in the offense, was the fact that the defense was so porous. To your point about Steve Angeli, from what I understand, he's good because you can play up to 4 games. And he played in the 4th game, but you can play in 4 games and then still use that red shirt. So from what I understand, he's chilling because it's not even a medical red shirt situation. You can use a normal red shirt because he played under 4 games. You're talking about medical red shirt, I believe, once you get beyond that point. I don't want you to quote me, but from what I've read, from the other people I've talked to, from what I've gathered throughout the week, and what the narrative seems to be, is Steve's got 2 years. Because he can use a normal red shirt because he only played in up to 4 games. And it's almost a good thing, right? If it was going to happen, as unfortunate as it is, it's almost a good thing it happened in the 4th game.
Okay. Last thing, if I have some time here.
You got it.
Okay. So watching Ricky Collins, the fresh new quarterback, and there's a few things I want to see out of him that, kind of put me at ease. Right away in the game, he shot those down. There was the play where he held onto the ball for so long. He got away from everybody. It was real early. It was when they ended up with the field goal. And he doesn't throw the ball away there.
Yeah.
And they're at the 4-yard line. He pushed them out to the 11. That took away any possibility for a touchdown. So that kind of smarts that you want to see from him, I was like, man, this dude was at LSU and he doesn't even have enough smarts in that play to just toss the ball away. That was disappointing. Kind of was a little foreshadowing for I'm not going to say, I don't want to rain on the kid, but that play right there. And then I think that he gained a lot of trust in his receiver on that first pass down the sideline early on. They got, maybe 20, 30 yards on it. He throws the same pass on that first pick, but it wasn't. I think he put too much trust in the receiver there, and he didn't throw it to the sideline enough. It was too inside, and that's why that got picked. But the 2 Jonte Cook fumbles were just devastating.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, he's back next year with the 5-star receiver from Miami next year. I don't know about Gill. I would hope that he comes back. I don't know if he's got another year eligibility, but they have the receivers for next year, and it's good news about Angeli. I'm talking about next year for a reason. I don't think we're going to be better than 4-8 this year.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's tough. And Vito, I appreciate you ringing in, man. Great stuff. Really appreciate you giving us a call. Yeah, Jonte Cook, it was unfortunate because he plays so hard, but he was struggling today. He fumbled it 3 times. One of them went out of bounds, and the other 2 were surrendered to Duke. So Cook did not have a good game as far as hanging onto the football goes, and it is credit to Duke. Like, they were making an effort to punch out the ball, so that you have to tip your cap there somewhat. But yeah, I'm with you on Cook. I'm with you on the elite caliber of the wide receiver room. They were a bright spot again today. Like, how about Emmanuel Ross stepping up and being an impact player? 4-8, it's tough. I mean, I think they can get to 6. I think 6-6 is what I'm expecting, but because I do think they're going to continue to get better. Let's remember, like, people were calling for Steve Angeli's job in the third quarter against UConn. That was like a couple weeks ago. You know, it takes some time to get your feet under you. But going back to your point on Ricky, I think the issue has always been in the difference between the two. It's not really a talent thing. It's a decision-making thing. It's a processing ability. He's probably a good quarterback from the shoulders down, athleticism-wise, and he's struggling shoulders up at being a quarterback. And I think that's where Steve had the edge, no question. Let's go to Dominic in North Carolina. Dominic, what you got for us?
Hey, Gio, how are you?
I'm well. How you doing? I'd be better if the Cuse would have won that game, though, and not lost by 35. I'll be honest.
I'm with you. Well, you know, if that's the worst thing that happened to you today, we're good, aren't we?
Yeah, very true. I'm with you. Right? It's football at the end of the day.
Yeah. So all the panic kind of bothers me. We're still going to have a good product. We may not make a ball game because we have a backup quarterback, and as you can see today, he has a lot of work to do to get better. The defense has even more work to do to get better. If we want to make a ball game, the defense has to get better. And I know it's a young defense, but it really needs to get a lot better. But fans, I want everyone to look back to 2017 when Syracuse beat Clemson in the Dome. Clemson fans didn't panic. They still went to the college football playoff last year. One loss is not like this terrible thing. So as long as we keep getting better, we can make a bowl game this year, or we can still hit whatever goals we as fans have, let's say 7-5 or 8-4, whatever they are. But this is not the end of the world unless they are not getting better every week.
Yeah, Dom, I'm with you, and I appreciate the call. I agree, and I don't all at the same time. Like, I'm with you in the sense that it's one game, right? It's one loss in the L column, and it's unfortunate. The problem I have with it is the way in which you lost. Sometimes it's not that it's just a loss. It's the fashion in which you lost. Like, you're talking 2017 Clemson. Okay, Clemson was going on the road on a Friday night, hostile crowd, and they lost by a field goal. I mean, Syracuse just lost by 35 at home to a team that had the worst scoring defense in the ACC statistically, and they mustered 3 points on offense. So I totally hear you. I'm with you, Dom, and I really appreciate the call. The only rebuttal I'll give to that is the fact that the fashion in which they lost this game is why I think there's so much cause for concern. As we continue to wrap things up here, I want to go ahead and talk about where do you go from here. It's improving the team, brought to you by Auburn Community Hospital. Auburn Community Hospital is improving their team. Apply today at auburncommunityhospital.org. What needs to improve going into the next game? I think pretty simple. What needs to improve going into the next game is the defense. The defense is the biggest place to look right now after what you allowed on the ground with over 200 yards, just being gashed all over the place, through the air, on the ground, what have you, missing tackles, didn't look the part defensively. So I'm with you there. I think other things that need to improve is they have to prop Ricky up for better success. They have to run the ball better. They have to be more effective in the ground game. There were times where Yassine was getting stuffed at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield. He didn't play a bad game. It's not on him. The run game's got to get going. You have to prop Ricky up for success. Have to take care of the football. Syracuse lost the turnover battle in this game 3-0. 3-0. 2 fumbles and an interception. Not going to get it done. Got to take care of the football. That's Ricky with the pick, but I'm also looking at, and again, I'm not getting on these guys. Like, these are unbelievable athletes, and who am I? I've never stepped foot on a football field, so I don't want it to come across that way. But if you're a guy like Jonte Cook, and you don't have to tell him this, right? Like, he knows you got to hang on to the football. You can't fumble it 3 times in the game. Lucky one goes out of bounds. You cough up 2 of them and give it to Duke. So I think you got to, going forward, you have to find ways to limit turnovers. You have to find ways to prop Ricky up and set him up for better success. That starts with running the ball. And I think on defense, across the board, you need to see improvement. We got time for one more caller. Before we wrap it up, we're going to go to Jake in Iowa. Jake, what you got for us?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Gio, again. I don't think in any way, shape, or form this game is on Ricky Collins at all. I just want to take fans who are listening back to the Pitt game last year because Kyle McCord looked like not good. We took a kicking in that game. We came back to have a pretty good season, and maybe we just needed to be humbled after the Clemson game before we go to SMU. Thanks for taking my call, bud.
Hey, appreciate you, Jake. Calling all the way from out in Iowa. So shout out to Jake. Welcome to call in anytime. Love hearing from you. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's all on Ricky. I think Ricky is like not Steve Angeli, which is unfortunate, and he's not Kyle McCord, which you never could expect him to be. I think there is a gap between Steve and Ricky, which is why one was the starting quarterback and the other wasn't. I don't think it's an arm talent thing. I think it's a processing, scanning the field, decision-making thing for Ricky, which you will see improvement. Let's not forget, people. He hasn't started a football game in 3 years, and he's never started a college football game. He's going to get better, and he has an offensive coordinator that knows how to set him up for success. You've seen Jeff Nixon do that time and time again. And it took Steve a couple of weeks to get his feet underneath him. The unfortunate thing is I thought the humbling moment was against Tennessee. I thought you kind of got that out of the way and we're like, okay, we need to look in the mirror as a football team and find a way to move forward and create success out of this season against Tennessee down in Atlanta. This is a different level of a gut check time. This is where you're going to see the coaching chops of Fran Brown. If you want to find one thing from this week to be excited about, look at head coach Fran Brown and see how does this team respond from this? Because you're going on the road at SMU. That's a big opportunity. Then you got the bye week. How does this team come flying out of the bye week after SMU and even in the SMU game and respond down the stretch of the season? Because it's far from over, Jake. I'm with you. It's gut check time. It's look in the mirror time. And I don't think there is anybody in the country, arguably, and that's a bold statement, anybody in the country, arguably, more equipped for a gut check moment, look in the mirror as a football team, how bad do you want it, type of a guy than Fran Brown running the program. I'll leave everybody with that. Appreciate you hanging out all day long with us here on Cuse Sports Talk at ESPN Syracuse. Enjoy the rest of your college football Saturday. The weekend is so much better when Syracuse wins because you can just watch football with complete joy knowing that your team already won. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but there are some banger games on. Enjoy it. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy time with your families. We appreciate you hanging out with us as always. For Paul McCoy working behind the scenes, for my man Matt Slocum over to my right, thanks so much for an awesome day. Unfortunately, the Orange don't get it done against the Blue Devils, but we'll talk to you all week long here on Cuse Sports Talk. Paulie and Steve have you noon to 2 with Orange Nation. Tim's got you in the evening, of course, with drive time from 5 to 6, and I'll talk to you next weekend with Mike as Syracuse heads on the road to play SMU. One more time for Paul, for Matt, I'm Giovanni Heater saying so long. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Did you